Hi, and welcome to Craft Along with Jay. My name is Yetta, and I'm so happy you could join me today. Today, I'm joining a new collaboration. Well, it's new to me. Everything Crafting. The hosts are Lady Ray Crafting, our Gray House, and the guest host is Lacey's Space. And I'm so excited. The theme is sunny, so anything that inspires you that's sunny is what we're making today. And don't forget to check out the playlist down in my description box when you're done with this video. Okay, for project number one, we're gonna use, well, I'm just gonna show you this wooden tray is what inspired me to do this project. So make sure that you watch till the end and you'll see how it all comes together. All right, I got these little sand toys from the Dollar Tree, except for I'm not gonna put sand in them. I'm putting a little bit of baking soda, and then we're gonna use some clay. We're gonna make a starfish and a sea turtle, which is yeah, my theme is the beach. That's kind of what I was thinking of when I thought of the word sunny. So this is going to be all beach themed, and I'm very excited about that. So here it's a little bit hard to get out because it's not a silicone mold, but I use a little bit of a zip tie just to get like one little leg out, and then I can kind of peel it out from there. And I just had to kind of reposition some things, but that's what it looks like. So it does work in these little plastic molds from the Dollar Tree, just sand toys. And here's my little turtle. And I'm doing the same thing as I did with the starfish, just some baking soda. And then I'm going to add some clay, just getting down into the grooves. And then I'll try and loosen it up in the sides. And then I'm going to use my little zip tie again. It's a really great tool. And I'm just going to get a leg out and then I can kind of pull him out from there. And that's what he looks like. And then it's been drying for a little while, probably a couple of hours. So the clay's not completely dry, but dry enough that I can start painting it. So I have a mixture of, I believe it's hazelnut and some white that I mixed together. Yeah, here I'm mixing some more. And I'm just going to paint the turtle's head and his feet and his little tail with that color. And once I've done that, I'm going to start with his body, which is green. I'm using celery and then I'm adding some moss while the celery paint is still wet, just to give it a two-toned um, green shell. And then for the starfish, I'm using creamy coral for the whole body. And then I'm just going to use a little black ink paint and just dot on some eyes on both. Yeah, here I go with my green, my celery and moss. So I'm not sure if I show you all of the painting, but I kind of explain what I'm doing. So if it's not in here, you know. You know what I did. And here they are, all finished painting. Yep. And then we're going to set that aside to dry. And then we'll move on to project number two. I'm using the hazelnut and some white. We'll mix that again. And then I got this other little sand toy to make sandcastle with at the beach. But here I'm going to craft, so I'm going to be a little bit creative. I'm going to paint it with that wet beachy sand color mixture paint that I made. We don't want orange. Just have it close enough to look like that wet, nice sand at the beach that holds it together. So that's what we're doing right here. And once that's done, we're going to put it aside to dry, and then I'm going to give it another coat. So total two coats. And drying in between and at the end before we move on to the next step. So we should be done here in a split second. And there it is all painted. So now we're going to add some Mod Podge to the whole thing. And then we'll drizzle it with some sand. So you can see the paint and the sand color is pretty close. No orange is going to show through. It's going to be all sandy looking, which is exactly what we need for a little beach. So Mod Podge the whole thing. I'm doing it in sections, so I'm not like touching Mod Podge and getting it everywhere and sand on my hands instead of my little sand castle. And there we go. And then we'll just drizzle some sand on there just to give it a sandy look. There we go. And that's kind of the process we'll do all the way around the sandcastle, but just in sections. So here when I'm done sanding this little part, I'll move to the top part of the castle on the same side, like so. And then we move to the other side. So there's four sides, and we just keep working in sections. So while I'm doing that, I want to say thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm so excited that you're here watching, and I hope you like this content. If you do, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so, and make sure to like and comment. I would really appreciate it. And I do read every single comment, and it makes me so happy to read them. All right, so once we gotten that sanded up, we're gonna take some seashells and we're gonna add some hot glue and decorate our little sandcastle. Be adding some shells all the way around. You can decorate it any way you want to, but I know when I was a kid, we were at the beach, we loaded it up with seashells and whatever we could find at the beach. So I'm trying to do that while I'm at home. And I'm just kind of picking to get the right size. I'm not trying to do the same size all the way around, but whatever fits without overpowering my little sandcastle. And then I got these like long ones. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're kind of the longer ones. And I'll put that on either side of the doors on both sides, like so. That's what it looks like. Guess I wanted to add a little extra. And there we go, my little sandcastle. All right, project number 3. I got some Jenga blocks, and we're gonna assemble them. So we're gonna put 2 together and then 6 across on top of the 2. So the way I'm putting it together here is the way I'm gonna glue it together as well, and I'm just gonna use Dollar Tree's wood glue. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do this. There we go, and then we have 2 that's standing on the sides. Adding some backing. So as you probably already guessed, we are making a little beach chair. Gotta sit in a chair at the beach and enjoy the view. And that is exactly how I glued it together. And then I got 4 little wooden beads, and I'm going to add that to the bottom just to give it a little tiny height. So it's one of those low seats, beach chairs, so you can still dig your feet into the sand. And then we'll put those 4 on. And then I gotta wait and see. I forgot what my next step is. All right. And that's what my little beach chair looks like. Very simple. Then I got this little wood square from the Dollar Tree. I think it comes in a pack of 6. Then I'm gonna add some Mod Podge to the top side. I'm just gonna cover the whole thing, and then I'm gonna put it to the side to dry. I guess I could have sped this up if I had to show the whole thing, but I didn't. Oh well. Now you know how to add Mod Podge. Then I got this really, really cute napkin from the Dollar Tree. It has the whole summer vibe going on. And I'm gonna take the back ply off and I wanna, oh, and then I'm cutting one of the little square sections out. So like a fourth of the napkin. And that's what we're gonna iron onto the top of our little wood plank now that the Mod Podge is dry. So we're making a little platform or blanket or however you want to call it to put our little beach chair on top of. Not sure what I'm doing here, but I'm doing something. I wonder why I left all of that in there. I do apologize. Oh my goodness. Where in the world did I go? All I had to do was throw that back ply in the trash. There we go. I apologize for that long wait. Then we're just going to add it to the top of our wood plank. Maybe not quite yet. There we go. Now we're going to do it. And then we're going to iron that on. Just make sure you get close to the edge and get it heated up so the Mod Podge will adhere to the napkin. And then once that's done, we're just going to do a sanding block and sand around the edges. And then now that the wood glue is pretty dry, been sitting there for a while, we're going to paint it with the color Maize. That's from Waverly Chalk Paint. And I'm giving it 2 coats. I think that nice yellow color is very, very bright like the sun and will go well with our little platform that we made for it. And don't forget to stick around to the end so you can see how it all comes together in our little wooden tray. It turned out really, really cute. I love it. All right. I think I'm just showing the first coat. I'm not going to show the second coat because I do let it dry in between coats. And then we do the bottom. And that's what it looks like. And that's our little platform or blanket, whatever you want to call it. And our little chair goes on top. Isn't that adorable? Project number 4. I got this little wood round from Walmart and I'm using, I believe it's vintage white. It's pretty much the same color as the wood round. You'll see when I start brushing it on, you can't really see the difference, but up close you can tell a little bit. But I didn't want too much of the wood grain showing, so I'm just gonna give it a nice coat and then we're gonna let that dry. And once that's dry, we're gonna give it a coat of Mod Podge and then let that dry. A lot of drying. I'm just doing 1 coat of the vintage white. There we go. And then when the Mod Podge is dry as well, we're gonna take this blue crab napkin and we're gonna take that back ply off. There we go. Had to take this off very gently because it was stuck on there. And then I'm gonna take a very fine tip paintbrush and some water, and then I'm gonna just trace around the blue crab. Not too close so the water gets onto the crab, but just, you know, on the outside, on the white part, so it doesn't touch the blue crab. Because then it's so easy to rip if it does. Then I'm just going to start tearing it around on the wet part. So I'll be just having the crab, not the other part of the napkin. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. No worries. But I'll show you, when I get started here, what it is that I'm doing. I'm just very gently pulling around on the wet part, making sure I'm not tearing into the crab. And here I go. Then I laid it onto my wood round. We're gonna use some parchment paper, and then I'm gonna use my mini press, and I'm gonna iron it on. This will activate the Mod Podge, and it will adhere the napkin to it without any wrinkles. And here I'm just making sure that the edges are down nice and tight. I felt like there's a little edge right there that could use a little bit more. There we go. I'm happy. And then I'm going to get my little sanding block and just sand the edges again and get the excess off. Just like we did with our little platform. And that's what it looks like. All right, so project number 5. It's the last one. And we need several pieces. I picked 3 of these little arrows from the word family. It's supposed to be houses, but we are going to use them as signs. Then I got some light spackling, and I'm going to fill in the holes, which was a bit hard to do this way because the holes are so big. What I'm ending up doing is putting some parchment paper down um, and then fill them. And what you won't see here, but once I'm done filling them, let it sit for a little bit, then I pick them up and I put some masking tape on the back just to make sure that the spackling stays in there and not adhere to the um, parchment paper while it's drying. So I just fill it in there and um, yeah, pretty much what I'm doing. I'm putting it to the side to dry overnight. And I got one of these dowel sticks. I'm not sure what I got them from. It may have been Hobby Lobby, maybe. Then I'm using the color khaki just to cover up that little Halloween spider. And I'm going to use agave and paint my wood dowel. And then I'm just going to stick it into that floral foam to let it dry so it's not laying down on the paint. Just give the whole thing a good coat. And here it is the next day, and this is what it looks like. It's all nice and dry, so I'm just going to sand up to make it smooth on the top. And then I'm going to paint one of them with peacock, one with agave, and then one with khaki. And once I've done that, they're laying right there to the side drying. I got some letters out, some wood letters that I'm painting in kind of fun colors. The first word is beach, then sun, and then fun. And they each getting their own color. Make it a fun little whimsical sign. So here I'm using creamy coral, celery, maize, then it's aqua blue and a Dutch aqua, that one, yeah. And then I think the last one is like a lilac purple. And those are the colors that I'm going to be using. And I'm just giving them each one coat. I'm okay with a little bit of the wood grain to show through. It's not much, if any. But it was okay if it does, because it is a sign. And I was short an N, so I'm using the letter Z, and I turned it so it looks like a funny looking N, but it works because it's going to be whimsical, so it's okay. You work with what you got. And here I laid it down on my signs, the arrows pointing in different directions, and then I'm just going to hot glue them down. And I'm not worried about them laying straight. I want them to look whimsical, facing their own little way, making it fun. The beach is fun, right? It's a fun place. Unless you get sunburned, but that's besides the point, right? And here we go. Just getting some of those glue stick strands off. And then I'm going to position them on my wood dowel. Then once I got them positioned, I'm just going to add some hot glue and glue them down. I was trying to figure out, do I do it on the back of my sign or do I do it on the wood dowel? I decided on the wood dowel because I didn't want my signs to be straight, so it wasn't going to be straight on the back part of the sign anyway. So it's better to do it on a wood dowel, and then you can position the arrow the way you want it. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to take that little um, frame sign that we used, and we're going to glue our um, wood dowel sign down. You can see I forgot to paint the very top of the wood dowel, so I got to go in and fix that. And here I'm just gluing it to the bottom, and then I'm going to add some sand, the same sand we used for our sandcastle. Just adding some in there, and I'm using a little paintbrush to kind of move it around. It's easier to do than trying to get my fingers in there. Then I got these little tiny shells. I've had them for so many years. I don't even know where I got them. Um, Maybe Michael's. I'm not sure. Then I'm just adding some in there, position them around the sign, give a little extra embellishment. That's what it looks like. Super cute. So now we're putting it together. I'm using the rest of my sand in my wood tray. And then we're gonna just move that around, getting it to the edges as much as we can. Yep, all the way to the edge. Then I start putting my stuff in there, my little sign, my chair, rearranging things, because then I forgot the crab. I had to put the crab in there. And I just put some sand up over it so you can't see it's on a wood run. It actually looks like it's in the sand. Then once I gotten everything in there, then I just start adding some more shells around. And that's what it looks like. Let's get a close finished look at it. So exciting. There's a crab, a turtle, sandcastle, starfish, a beach chair with the little riser or platform, our beach sign. I think this turned out absolutely gorgeous. What do you think? Let me know. And if you stuck with me all the way to the end, I want to thank you so much. It means the world to me. Don't forget to check out the playlist. It's down in my description box. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to like and comment. Until next time.